Chris, if you wouldn't
Yeah.
mind just introducing yourself, how long you've been in the game for,
Yeah.
and
So
we'll go from there.
yeah. So I've always worked in the trades. Even when I was in high school, it's really all I've ever done. I actually cut my teeth doing siding and gutters. That was kind of my background. So
Interesting.
No kidding.
yeah.
Welcome.
So kind of my experience, and after college, stayed in the industry and went to work for a window company. So it was really one of my first experiences in windows, and worked there for a few years. And just I saw how they were operating. I was like, man, I can do this. I already got the installation background. Graduated with a marketing degree, and I thought I knew marketing, but what they teach in school isn't doesn't really apply to the real world. But it gave me enough confidence to quit my job and start my business in 2014. So it's been a crazy journey, and yeah. So just like I said, the background, the degree that I thought helped, just gave me that confidence to do my own thing.
That's right.
And
How old are you, Chris?
I actually just turned 40. So
All right.
yeah, just turned 40. And so I started my business. I was fairly young, in generally an older dominated industry. Now, a lot of the younger guys are starting to come into the trades and start businesses. And, it's amazing what the new generation can do because of the internet. The guys that have been doing gutters for 30 years or 20 years, even a lot of times, those are or not just gutters, but any home improvement. Those are the ones that kind of struggle in today's world because they're not used to what it takes to generate leads these days, which is completely different than what they grew up with.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's been crazy. I always tell people, that I started my business, and I didn't have any kids at the time. But I quit my job, and about 3 days before I got married to my wife. So it's like, hey, I got this new life we're gonna start. By the way, I'm starting off unemployed. So like,
That's
like
amazing.
yeah,
That's a
What
test of the bonds of marriage, right? Like for
that's right.
better or
So
for worse, honey, we're gonna do this.
we're gonna test it out right from the beginning. So,
That's amazing.
but
Holy
yeah,
cow. What was
uh,
her like? What did she obviously knew you talked to her like, hey,
yeah,
this is what
yeah.
I want to do. It's not like
Yeah, I didn't quit on just a whim. I planned for probably seriously planned for about a year, maybe. I probably talked about it probably 2 months or 2 years before I quit. It's like, hey, I want to do this, I want to do this, and just try to plan as much as I could to make sure I was ready. The
how'd that
one thing,
work out?
yeah, well, hey, I still have the original business. Like, I literally wrote a business plan because that's what they say you should do. Probably didn't follow much of it because a lot of it just not applicable to the real world, right? You don't have
Yeah.
any experience. You're like, oh, it's gonna work like this, and this, and I was almost out of business before I even started because the plan was so bad. So, but
I say
but
never
we're
to write
here.
a business plan out beyond like 12 months because it's just fiction beyond that, right?
Yeah,
It's fabricated fiction and you can't
yeah,
control it. Things are, so far. 12 months is way out for a projection.
yeah,
Just before you get deeper into this, just to hype everybody, because the numbers are really what gets everybody so excited. 20 million in 10 years. How fast did things ramp? To the tune of
um,
annually.
yeah. So I mean, everything went pretty quick. Actually, the last few years it's kind of slowed down a little bit, but I got to so first year I did 1 million in sales. Second year 3.5. So pretty big jump from 1 to 2, and then I went to 5, and then 7 and 9.
Wow,
Uh, so the first 5 or 6 years was pretty quick.
I'd say.
Uh,
I'd say.
yeah, and then after once I got to 10, I kind of took a pause at 11 million because I didn't have any systems. Really, just flying by the seat of my pants. Like I mean, everything's moving quick. I didn't know how to run a business. It's like, all right, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do this. So when I got to 11 million, I was like, look, I'm not going to grow the business this year. I don't want to grow it. We still grew by about 10%, but I focused on fixing departments in the business, systems, trying to get the right people,
Right.
because I just just didn't know. I didn't have a game plan, right? So I had this imaginary business plan. Didn't really have a network of people I could really lean on. Um,
How
but
fast
once we
how fast did you scale with employee count? How quickly did head count spike?
it went pretty quick. Yeah, I mean, you gotta think. I mean, if you're 1 million to 3.5 million on a home service company, that not a whole lot on the back end that needs to be like office staff. There's not a big difference there, but there was a sales rep difference and a installer difference. So as those two positions had to increase, but really the back end office stuff didn't. I mean, we were pretty lean. We ran pretty lean for the first several years with office stuff. So everyone's kind of doing everything, right?
Yeah.
And that's the way a lot of small businesses are. It's like
Yep.
you're not compartmentalized. So it's like Betty answers the phone when she can answer the phone. She also, you know,
Everybody's a multitasker.
exactly. So, and that's the way we were, and that's the way most everyone was. And then, like I said, probably 7 to 10 million, somewhere in that range. I really started thinking about, all right, we need a department of this, and we need this, and
Specialization.
yeah. So, and I think about that revenue size. I brought in a sales manager. I was a sales manager to probably 9 million or so. Um, that was one of the last roles that I hung on to was sales manager because that was kind of my passion as well. Like I love sales.
Sure.
Uh, really like connecting with the sales team. So I mean I stuck in that department longer than most everything. The
Yeah.
marketing department I mean I'm still in it really until last year I brought on a director of marketing, but it was me up until 17 million. So
When you started this business, did you have any game plan of you being the window guy? Or was it straight up like I'm never going to install a window for my own company. I'm going to sell them and I got installers for this or subs or whatever.
yeah, I mean, I installed the first couple jobs, but my plan, and I was naive, right? So it's like I worked for a company that had probably 6 or 7 install crews, 7 or 8 window crews, and I just thought it would be easy. Honestly, it's like, all right, this guy can do it, I can do it. So I thought it would be easy, which it's not that it was like crazy super difficult. I had a super focus of two parts of my business, and that's what's really propelled us, which we can talk about in a little bit. But yeah, I don't know. I just always believed in myself that I would. Now 20 million, I don't know if I ever thought that I would do that. But when I started, there wasn't like these big conglomerate. Like now, there's been so much private equity coming to the business, and companies have scaled like to multiple states. But the top 10 companies when I started, or right before I started, were doing like 20 million. I think one might have been doing 100 million. But it was
Is that
not.
Hanson's maybe?
They were at the time they were probably doing 40 or 50 when I started.
Okay.
Uh, but uh, but yeah, so there was a company in my area that was doing about 20 million. I'm just like, man, I would just love to have a business like that. And I mean, I do,
Did you study them and get your chops that way, or was this all homegrown?
Man, I honestly like even today, like with the internet, there's no reason you shouldn't be studying everybody. Even companies that aren't in your industry.
Right.
Especially with Facebook. With Facebook, you can almost stalk essentially like different companies. You can see their ads that they're running on Facebook. So it's like you can go to their Facebook page, see what ads they're running, and if you don't have a big marketing department, well, guess what? You know that they do. So if you got a big gutter company doing $2 billion a year, just throw that out there. Guess what? They probably have a big staff of marketing people that know that this ad type works, right?
Right.
So internet's powerful.
You kind of reverse engineered what they were putting out or
Oh
mimic?
yeah,
Just kind of modeled?
just watch, man. Just watch.
So
There's a list that it's called Qualified Remodeler. It's like a magazine. They do some events and stuff like that, but they'll put out lists of like the top 200 or top 500 remodeling companies. That's a great place to start to see what some of the big guys are doing, and just check out their websites. You can look at the websites. you may not have, or I might not have, 40 people in my marketing department, but you can guarantee the top 20 companies on there do
Oh yeah,
Right.
that are testing it, right? So
they're
they're
paying for
testing
it
what
outside.
converts. Yeah.
If
So
they test consistently, that's all they're doing is testing, testing,
Exactly.
testing. I mean, if they're not testing, they're getting fired.
yeah. So
Like
so if they've been running an ad for a long time, you know that it works. So
That's
I'm
right.
not saying copy it, but you can look at different types of offers, or if they're the motion, whatever, an ad,
So
and
obviously that's one of the bigger, I wouldn't say secrets, but like one of the major things you did that you implemented that really made the difference. But it sounds like you did it early on. I mean, your numbers started slapping really early. What were you doing even like in the earlier years? Because your numbers jump quick. Like year 2, year 3, where were you,
yeah.
taking the marketing? Did you go right to TV? What did you implement?
It's funny because I was actually talking with another business owner that I'm helping with. He's trying to build a bathroom business, and I was like, first couple years, this is what I did, and I was like, well, you know what? Let's just go back and look. So we logged into my, we've always used QuickBooks from day one, and we're very detailed on our P&L statement. So I went back and I looked at 2014 and 2015 P&L statements, and I can see every dollar that I spent on marketing. Like, I mean, I even saw I was like, dude, that's the first set of business cards I ordered. That's the first set of shirts. Like, you could see it,
It's all there.
and it's all there. And man, like I saw my first $500 on Google, and in 3 months, I was spending 10 grand a month on Google. Um, and then here 3 or 4 months later, here comes TV. So then here's bills I'm paying for the TV stations. So I paired Google with TV very early on, and I've kind of stuck with that. And we obviously we do about everything. I mean, we a lot of print, social media, but Google and TV came in very early,
Huh.
um, and that's helped us scale for sure. So
What do you leverage? Is it like local news stations? Is that really the magic?
yeah, yeah, we prefer news. Really, anything that people generally aren't going to record and watch later,
Right.
because you don't want them to be able. Yeah, you don't want them to be able to fast forward through the commercials. So if you give them that opportunity, people are going to do it. Like if you put in a show, like I mean, I don't even watch TV to be honest with you. So whatever show is popular, if you go inside a Survivor, they're going to record it, watch. They're going to fast forward right through your commercial. So we always focus on morning news primarily because of the cost. Evening news is going to get a lot more eyes, but it's expensive. And then we focus on the beginning of the week. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday are our priority time slots that we try to focus on. And we do weekends pretty heavy also, just because they are way less expensive spots on the weekends than during the
interesting.
week.
So you find Thursday and Friday, the idea is people fall off, they get busy, they have life and dates.
Yeah, and like I said, we don't have a big marketing research team, but my logic in that is on the weekends people are at home, they're looking at their house, right? I mean, I'm the same way. So I'm at home, it's like, man, I ought to fix that fence, or I ought to do this, or I ought to do that. But they might make note of it on the weekend, but actually take action to do something on Monday or Tuesday. So it's like, all right, tomorrow I'm gonna call some window companies or gutter companies or whatever and try to get some estimates. So that was the logic, was they're looking at it on the weekends, the beginning part of the week, they're gonna take action. So
We
So when you started this, at what point did you hire an office person to be answering your phones and get you off of that?
yeah, so it was just me for about 3 months. And then about 3 months I brought on another salesperson until the spring. So I mean, less than a year really. Like I said, we did $1 million our first 12 months. So salesperson to try to free up some of my time, so I wasn't out there running appointments all day. And then I brought on a second salesperson and an office person about the same time.
Okay.
And that
Right.
was probably 10, 11 months in.
Is all your work retail, or are you working for builders too?
No, only all retail. We don't entertain builders. We don't entertain house flippers.
Interviews. Entertain them. I don't entertain.
Yeah, I say entertain because they're not going to buy from us. I mean, they want something that I don't want to offer. You know,
That's right.
I don't want to offer them. I don't want to do the work for fun. You know, I'm doing it to make a living, and they don't want. They're the only ones that want to make a living off of off of it.
That's right.
They
Yeah,
don't
That's
want
right.
nobody else to do
friend
it.
of the dollar bill, right? Everybody's
Yeah,
trying to find the margin, and you're definitely not on the same side of the dollar.
That's
yeah,
right.
yeah. Now
So
we did used to deal with rental properties. Like if someone had a rental, or I mean even a flipper, we would deal with a flipper early on because it's like, man, you can take it from wherever it can come, you know. But we've never dealt with builders, and now we don't sell to rental properties, or I mean really anything but individual homeowners. So
I
Fantastic.
want to dig into that a little bit more because in the gutter industry, I don't know the actual statistic, but I would say mid 90s% of them are owner operators.
yeah,
And so they're running, I'll take anything I can get, right?
yeah,
I'll deal with the contractors. I'll deal like what I would look at or what Frank would look at and be like, nope, never going to touch it for that price. Sorry.
yeah,
That's a third, a half of what I'm after, right?
yeah,
Um, these guys are taking it because they're owner operator, but they
yeah.
get stuck in that. Um, can you?
It's a cycle that's very difficult to get out of if you start getting in that cycle of where you're out there just trying to get work and you're going to go out there and do it. It's very difficult to get out of that because you're so worried about if I do try to raise the price to have a margin for an actual business to operate and run. Now I'm scared I'm not going to be able to pay my bills next month, right? So it is it is a cycle that's very difficult to break. Um, and I'm not gonna say. I mean, we've all probably taken deals where it's like, man, I didn't make anything on that, or I made very very little. But at the end of the day, you know, you got to provide. Anyone started their business to provide for their family. Now, um, is it going to soar to crazy heights? I mean, everyone probably dreams of that. But you just gotta make decisions that are and you gotta take risk, right? So it's like if you're always trying to be the lowest price and that's how you're selling, it's risky to try to increase your price to sell for more because it's risky that you might not
You're
build them
known for that's your brand. I'm the
right.
cheapest, right?
That,
Let me
yeah.
ask you something. Do you use 1099s for installation, or are they all your own guys?
We started out as all 1099s, all salespeople 1099s, all installers, all everyone.
Hmm.
Um, in the middle of COVID, shortly after we switched to W-2s. COVID, the demand was just through the roof. Everyone needed installers, so everyone was selling more than they could install. So it became like a bidding war for installers. So that made me look at, hey, I don't want to be handcuffed by 1099s and whatever price they want it to be.
Right.
So we decided to bring a lot of our people in as W-2s. Now we still have 1099s. Some of the guys that worked for me from day one were 10. They're still 1099s. I'm not going to make them
They choose
switch.
to be. They'd rather be.
They'd rather be, yeah. As a business owner, you know, I don't I don't I don't really have a preference strongly one way or another. Some days when I got three vehicles in the shop and I got $7,000 worth of repair bills, it's like, man, be nice to have 1099s right now.
That's right. Yep.
At the same time, though, they're not working either, right? If their van's down versus yours,
Yeah,
and I'm a 1099 guy, right? I'm a paper contractor myself, but I do have some in-house labor. I three
yeah.
W-2s on outside labor, but
The hard part is if your 1099's van goes down, most times they don't have the money to get it
that's
fixed.
where I
So
was
they're down for God knows how long, but
that's where I
Well,
was going with
we know we're getting ours fixed.
control things when it's on your end, and you get the van to the shop same day instead of
yeah.
waiting 3-4 days, and the things
I've
go.
always had an extra vehicle sitting aside for them for when theirs goes down. It's like, man, here you can drive this for a
Yeah,
couple of days.
yeah,
Yep.
the work must
Or
go
a
on.
U-Haul. We've had some of them show up in a U-Haul because they've their vehicle went down, and it's like, man, you know, for you got to think. I mean, like I said, not in the gutter industry. You're not going to take a gutter machine off of
Right.
truck and put it in a U-Haul. But
It's been done before.
yeah,
It's been done
um,
before.
but I mean, a job for an installer to pay, you know, $1,200, $1,500, $2,000 in a day, like it's worth it for them to go run a U-Haul and get
Right.
that $1,500, $2,000. So
Right.
Pays for their
So,
repair.
you know, where we are, the building I'm in right now, right next door used to be the warehouse next to us, Renewal by Anderson. And
oh yeah,
just from outside, I kind of got a gaze at how the operation ran. It looked to me like it was all 1099s early in the morning, 5:30, 6 o'clock. A whole litany of vans would show up
yep,
and huge dumpster outside. All of them would throw out all their windows from the day before into this giant dumpster, and that thing filled up daily. I mean, it was unbelievable the amount of trash.
yeah.
And then they'd grab new ones from inside the warehouse, and then they were off to the races for whatever jobs they had. Are you running a giant facility? You must be at this point. You must have a big building.
Right now we're in 15,000 square foot. We need more. I purchased a building back in March. We're remodeling it. Should be done next couple weeks. So we're anxious to move in there.
Nice. Congrats.
Uh, but yeah, and it's going to be way too. I mean, it's almost 40,000 square foot, or it's almost 30,000 square foot. Sorry, which I don't need that much.
Right.
But man, I've had to buy out of 2 leases because of the growth. Like, I mean, I didn't.
Incredible.
It's one of those things you want to keep overhead low, so you're scared to get into a big lease, and it's like, man, I just want something that's going to hold me over for the next couple of years, and then next thing you know, a year later, I got to get out of here. We can't even operate because we've grown so fast. So
Well, it's kind of like
uh,
your marketing spend early on, right? Like with the Google
it's
spend, or it's like a fish in a fishbowl, right? You give it a bigger fishbowl, it grows.
yeah,
Fish actually grows. So it's risk and your ability to handle risk, and it looks like sky's the limit for you. It doesn't matter what you roll into; you keep growing and expanding to meet the wall.
yeah. It is starting to get a little bit more difficult to grow without. I feel like I'm going to have to open up another market soon.
Wow,
Because if
you're in
you're
two,
doing
it's
a
two big,
million,
two
what's that?
you're in two metro areas currently, right?
Yeah, I got 2 physical locations for media markets. So, Cincinnati, I have a physical office. Dayton's about, I don't know, an hour north or so. It's a completely separate media market. So if you do want to do business in that market, you got to. I mean, you can't just hope that people are going to see your TV commercials. It's a completely different, but it's close enough to where we can operate out of the same office and warehouse, which is what we're doing. And then our Louisville, Kentucky office is about an hour away from Lexington, Kentucky, which is another media market. But it's close enough right now to where we can operate out of the Louisville office. So
What's your recommendation for guys that are trying to tap into these media markets, people that want to get into radio, want to get into TV ads? Do you recommend going, like, finding a broker, or do you have a guy that does it for you, or do you have a contact at each of the,
yeah,
the outlets? You kind of they manage it for you with your monetary direction, like.
yeah. So I have a little bit of everything, honestly. Like I said, we have a pretty healthy marketing budget. So I got one guy that I've leaned on a lot. He owns a agency, and his main thing is TV. So he's been a TV and radio guy his entire, like, he was a general manager at a TV station, I think a radio station also, and he left, I don't know, 15, 20 years ago to start his own marketing agency. So he's almost been. I, I'm gonna use this term, like he and I have never talked about this term, but I'm gonna say a fractional CMO
Hell yeah.
almost.
Well, that's the idea.
Uh,
That's how you want to leverage that.
yeah, so
Make
I paid
money
him.
on that too. That's the other thing. He's
Yeah,
making pretty penny.
yeah, I paid him a decent amount, but way less than what I could hire someone in like full time. And
Well, he gets
he has a
discounts,
lot of
right? He gets a break on the buying, and he uses that
exactly.
to leverage to put profits
Yeah,
in his pocket. So everybody kind of wins. But when he goes to buy, he gets a discount on the purchase. How do you
yeah,
recommend finding somebody like this for the guys
and
that?
that's so here's what's great about. So I did look at other advertising agencies before, And the way that they pitched a lot of times, like, "Hey, man, we can get you on TV. We can get you great spots, and you don't have to pay us anything. We get paid by the TV station." I'm like, "Oh yeah, ain't nothing free, you know." So he comes in. He's like, "Look, agencies can get a 15% discount off the lowest rates." He said, "I don't want you can keep the 15% discount. You just pay me a monthly retainer." So I did the math. I'm like, man, that's a no brainer. I'd rather pay him a monthly retainer, and I get the 15% discount on the rates.
Right.
And that's what we did, and it worked out in my favor like tremendously because, especially now, what I'm spending in TV, I'm spending about $100,000 a month on TV,
I was going to say,
and a 15% discount. I mean, it's 15 grand discount, and I'm paying him a fraction of that. So it's like I'm netting way better off by going this route than a traditional type of marketer pay structure. And he's like I said, he helped me manage a lot with my digital media vendors. Um, my website SEO company, helps me with Facebook, helped me with all my print, radio. So he's been tremendous for my business, really.
how do you go about
But
finding somebody like that? If you could, the guys at home need tips on this. What's your recommendation on sniffing somebody like this out, vetting them, making sure that they're
yeah,
the real deal? What do you think on that?
um, man, I mean, obviously the internet's a good way. He was referred to me, so referral is obviously going to be the best way because you have someone that is kind of vouching for them that they've had success with them. But really referrals, and I'll be more than happy to share if anyone. I mean, I don't know if that's kosher or not here, but
Yeah. Is he
Yeah.
national, or is he like only works in your region?
no, he can work wherever. I mean, it's with I mean, really we're well today with video conferencing and whatever. I mean, it's kind of a
Right.
entire U.S. thing, but yeah. So I mean, he's been tremendous, helping me. But we use other vendors for like Google Ads. I have a very unique strategy for Google and Facebook that a lot of even digital marketers are like, "What are you're doing what?" Um, but uh,
We'd love
but
to
it
talk about
works.
that. We certainly run it ourselves. I'd love to hear what your strategy is if you could share it.
Yeah. Yeah. So, what we do, I'm a big believer in marketing. So, I mean, we started off Google first. So it's like I'm maxing out Google. So a lot of agencies, if you are trying to find that, if it works, there's no reason not to just add more fuel to it if you do want to grow the business. Not everyone does want to do that, but if you're getting a good return on Google ads, there's absolutely no reason to try this or try that. You max out everything you can on Google. So if your agency says, "Look, man, you're spending as much as we can spend, we can't spend anymore, or you're going to start having diminishing returns." Like that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for a partner to where I want them to tell me, "Hey, you cannot spend more than what you're spending." Because if I'm getting a return on it, I have an unlimited marketing budget because I know I'm going to get a return on it in just a couple weeks, right? So it's like, why not spend it? So if a marketing agency, if I'm running Facebook ads and they say, "Hey, Chris, we cannot get any more business um, off of your Facebook ads. You're spending the max that we can recommend," which this happened with Google and Facebook. And I'm like, well, what if we create alternate pages and we run ads from alternate pages? And all of them like, "Nah, you can't do that. That's just going to drive up your lead costs. It's going to do this, going to do that." And I'm like,
Let's test it.
that's what I'm going to do. You can do it, or I'm gonna find someone else to do it. So I found someone else to do it. So just on Facebook, I got one vendor. We're doing probably 250,000 a month in revenue off of them, and that's as much as they feel like they can get me. And I was like, dude, I know that there's more on Facebook.
$250,000 in ad spend a month on Facebook.
No,
Uh,
return.
Oh,
250K revenue
okay.
on
All right. All right.
$3
I
million
was like,
a month.
holy
Yeah.
crap, dude. Like,
From I will, yeah. Hopefully one day I'll get to that point because I'm all about it. Like if it's going to generate me return, I'll. I mean that's
Yeah.
there's no reason not to, right? So, but yeah, so 250. They're like, this is as much as we can get. So I found another vendor, and I was like, "Look, man, here's what I want to do." I said, "I'm gonna create separate Facebook pages, and I want you to run ads from these Facebook pages and not our main company Facebook page." And they're like, "All right, well, here they are bringing in even better returns,
Wow.
and here's another 70K in revenue that
Totally
the other company
change or
says they can't get me, you know?" So it's like, all right, well, now I'm up to here. So then guess what? He's like, "This is as much as I can spend." So
yeah.
one guy says this as much as he can spend is generating 250. This one says, "Hey, this is as much as I can spend." It's way less. He's generating 70. It's like, well, heck, I'm gonna find someone else. And so I've got 3 different companies that do Facebook marketing for me.
Smart.
Two
Smart.
different companies that do Google marketing for me. It's the same thing. They said this is the most I can get out of it, but I wanna push those limits, and I want to see the returns start to go backwards, and then I know I hit that limit. I don't want you to tell me.
Right.
I want to see it, and then I know, and then I can pull back. So I'm trying to find those limits.
Makes sense. Smart. And
Yeah.
it's amazing how you see right through these glass ceilings and you're not taking no for an answer and
Right.
just keep pushing through the limits of it where everybody else just says, all right, that's
Right.
Yeah.
it.
So
Mac.
we have five different Facebook pages that we run ads from. So because Facebook algorithm, they have. It used to be every third post was an ad. So it was like your sister's posting about her boyfriend, your grandma's posting about her dog, and then there's an ad.
Right.
Same thing, ad. Facebook's not going to just show one company's ad
Right.
over. They're going to
Right.
rotate because there's
Right.
30 different
Makes
companies trying
sense.
to get in front of those eyeballs, right? So if I can have 2 or 3 of those companies
So
in front of those same eyeballs, like
strategy on that? Is it similarly branded or they're completely unique brands that you're showing?
yeah, similar branded. Like I have one, so the window company that I own, Windows Direct USA, has Facebook ads. I also have a Facebook page called Windows Direct USA, locally owned windows and doors. And I have Windows Direct
Logo.
USA with more local. So it's like Windows Direct USA of Louisville. So it's like we have all these different, same brand, just a little
Right.
bit different rework on the pages.
Right.
And that allows us to really stretch our impressions on Facebook. So
Brilliant. Obviously, it's
I
So
like
working,
it.
smart.
paying off. It's
So
fantastic.
you're doing the lead form on Facebook, and then your call center. I know
Yeah,
you're
we
really proud of
we
this call
yeah
center. So you're
yeah we
pounding the phones.
yeah. So we'll go. I'm a big believer. I'm very anti lead form.
Okay.
Usually, if I bring on a marketing company, that's one of the first things I ask. And if they try to get me to do a lead form, I'm almost not interested. I'm a big believer in creating landing pages. I feel like every digital ad or even print ad should have its own specific landing page.
Makes it very
Uh, it's easy. It's yeah. You can track lead forms obviously too, but it's trackable. You can have tailored messaging, but I feel like the lead quality is much better on if landing pages. So
That's so
on a
true.
Facebook form, I see all these people
They're
in groups.
usually garbage leads. They don't fill out every field or they don't answer the
Exactly. So
phones. The ones that
yeah,
don't
so
answer.
there's snapshotting an account. They're like, look, I got $100 ad spend, 100 leads, $1 a lead. It's like, dude, I don't want those dollar leads in my CRM because I got to pay someone to call them, and I don't want to waste my caller doing that, right? So if you get them on a landing page, I just feel like your lead cost is higher, but they're much more quality lead. So you don't have to spin your wheels trying to call thousands and thousands of people to find a decent a decent one,
Right.
or even a real phone number.
Mhm.
Are you using some sort of call dialer system
Yeah,
that
so we
is
have
just called?
a in-house call center. It's right across the hall from my office, and so leads, all of our everything's, it's all connected. So if someone fills out a Facebook lead, a Google lead, it goes straight to our CRM, and then an auto dialer. So as soon as it hits it, they should be getting a text message very quickly, and it's automated. And then the auto dialer just starts dialing that number. And then we have, like I said, call center with right now we have 8 agents. We're looking to expand that pretty significantly once we move. But the call center just dows it.
Yes.
Let's talk about that call center. You got 8 agents to do $20 million in total revenue.
Yeah.
Uh,
And the 8 is new. So the 8 is new. We had about 6 forever. I'm a big believer in consultants. Like I'm not a call center guru, right? That's not my background. So I have a
You
monthly
know a
budget.
little.
What's
You
that?
certainly know a little.
Well, I do. Yeah, I guess I got 10 years of experience now, but um, if I can lean on someone who's worked with companies doing 50 or 100 million, obviously I want to. I'm okay with paying for that knowledge. So,
Awesome.
but I hired a call center consultant recently. He's like, dude, you're never going to get to 25, 30 million with 6 callers. He's like, it's not going to happen. He's like, you need probably like 10 to 15.
Yeah, the math.
And I'm like, dude, I can't fit 10 or 15 in this room, so that's not going to happen. So, but we can fit 8, and that's what we do. So, for now,
That's when we start talking about Philippines.
yeah.
yeah,
Thinking about
man,
that.
trust me, I've thought about it because I don't know, $2 an hour is a lot better
Sounds
than like
dreamy.
20.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
So how many sales guys are out there? How many sales guys to support 20 mil?
We got 17 right now.
Wow.
That's the most we've ever had. We've usually hovered around 14, 15. Most of our guys are doing over $1 million in revenue. Some are doing 2 or 3 million.
What's top sales guy do?
Last year, 3 million. Yeah,
Solid.
and
3 million. So
he made several $100,000.
I'm
So he
sure
made
he
a lot
did.
of money.
I'm
So
sure he's still working there.
how many leads a day are you giving?
Good question.
yeah, we want them to have 2 demos. So the way we do it, we track set appointments and then how many we issue, and then how many demos. So we want them to have 2 demos. So they'll get anywhere from 2 to 3 a day is what we try to do. Now, obviously, sometimes it's a little sporadic. Sometimes we can't deliver 2 a day or 3 a day. Sometimes they get 1. It is what it is. But if they can have 2 appointments a day, that is, to me, that's a full calendar.
Right. And
So
so
we want
your
them to have
demo
about 4.
time is what, 3 hours usually?
Yeah, the ones that do the most and make the most money, they're
As long
in
as
the
it's
house the longest.
Hold up. Repeat that. Repeat exactly what you
Yeah,
just said.
the ones that sell the most and the ones that make the most money are in the house the longest.
Oh, yeah.
So
No doubt.
all you guys that take pride in getting 15, 20 gutter estimates done in a day, right?
You
There's
can't
no
sell.
way. You're not
Rough.
you're not
No,
selling.
you can't stack quality.
No.
I do have a friend of mine that works at the big guy, the leaf filter, and I think he 4 to 5 is what they load him up with a day.
Really? 4 to
Yeah,
5
but
leads a
I
day?
think
I
he
would have
did
said
about
before.
I think he did about almost $3 million too last year. So I mean he's good. So but they're normal guys. They're not gonna load them up like that.
Right.
It's really easy to get burnt out too, man. Like the flooring, some of these flooring companies, like they'll do the same thing, 4 or 5 appointments a day, and man, that's a lot. That's a long day. It's a lot,
It's a
So
ton.
I mean,
yeah,
with your like increasing volume and requirement to get jobs installed, do you have a training center? Like, are you giving guys chops inside the shop because or are you just
yeah,
finding guys that have the skill set? Because there's a
little bit of both. We do train if needed. One thing that I've really never had too much of an issue is the production. Like I don't know. Like I feel like I have a good way of people. They want to work for me and they're loyal to me.
You know what?
Uh,
Let's talk
but
about that a little deeper. Just to kind of like give you because, and I'm speaking for the audience because
yeah,
Colin, you hear this again and again and again. Everybody in the last couple weeks, it seems like out of nowhere, is complaining about how impossible it is to find good guys, retain good guys. They bring them on, they go through a whole song and dance. The guy quits on day 2. It's the same story again and again and again. What are you doing, Chris? That is making the magic happen.
yeah. It's usually not the guy who's quit's fault. It's not his fault. It's the owner's fault or whoever's managing those people. So
100%.
people they want to work for people that they like. Number one. So I try to be a guy that they like. I treat them all with respect. None of them have ever seen me like yell or get angry, even though sometimes I do. I never put that off on someone else. Um, but I think a lot of it starts with charging the right dollar amount for the job too, because you got to pay if you're just. I mean, I see it all the time. Like people trying to hire like window installers and they're paying like trash. It's like, dude, don't nobody want to work for that.
Yeah, I mean, Colin, this is the $6 a foot gutter guy that can't find help because it's the same math. There's no money to retain quality help.
It's
Yeah.
the $12 a foot guy that's spending money on, his new pool and his new Sea-Doo and paying his guys chump change,
Yep.
Like,
And
yeah.
for which you introduced me early on, said something about Lamborghini or whatever, but that wasn't always the case. Like I always,
You weren't always driving a
man,
Lamborghini.
I'm what's that?
I said you weren't always driving a Lamborghini.
I wasn't always right. Look, I started my business with like no joke, $6,400. Like that's what I started my business with, and I did $1 million the first year.
Yeah.
So it's like,
That's right.
and there was no bank loans. There was no. I had a credit card, so I kind of did a little credit card hack, but I didn't have cash to start the business. So everything went back into the business. Now it can go back into the business with marketing. It can go back into business with equipment or vehicles or whatever. But also it needs to go back into the business with your employees or your contractors. Like, what are you going to do for them to retain them? Because
Right.
having to always hire new laborers or work or salespeople or office people, that's way more expensive than what it costs to take care of someone and make them want to work for you.
Absolutely.
Like, way more expensive. So, I mean, I just always try to take care of them and make everyone feel like they're part of the company. So yeah, so it's really just that relationship building and getting them to see through the tough days. If it's slow or difficult, some of our guys have went and picked up filler work went during slow times, but they've always came back.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
I wouldn't
We
say they
got
all come back, but the ones I want to come back generally come back.
we got a question. How are you paying your installers? Do you pay them hourly per hole or per window? Like, how
what's
are you paying them?
Yeah, yeah. On the Windows side, it's piecework essentially. So per hoe. So we've got a base rate for per window. There's oversized windows cost or we pay a little bit more to install. There might be some odds and ends that we might pay a little bit more, but for the most part, it's piece rate. And we know going into it, and they know going into it exactly how much it's going to pay, so there's no coming back at the end and they're wanting this and I'm not doing that and they're pissed and they feel ripped off or I feel ripped off. Like there isn't, no one feels ripped off because we all knew going ahead what the terms were, right? So it's like, it makes it easier to make sure there's a good working relationship. And we're all transparent. So
That's it. It's
yeah.
huge. Frank, you had something you were gonna say?
I don't remember.
All right. You're
But
getting
I'm a
old.
big believer,
I
man.
said
Like
something.
pay a little bit extra. Um, it actually saves you a ton of money if you pay a little bit extra. Believe
It
it or
does.
not.
Oh, I
100%.
remember what it was. So, what I was going to say is, when you get them in house and you have the ability to take care of them, I think that is obviously the recipe, right? But I think guys need some direction on how to attract them to their company in the first place, right? So
Yeah.
how do you advertise? I mean, at this point, at your size, I would imagine anybody with that skill set knows who you are. But do you have methodology on attracting help and talent? Are you using Indeed?
Yeah.
Is it your website?
Um.
How are you
Yeah.
getting?
So we early on it was a little bit different recruiting process than what it is now. We have people that do reach out now to see if we have any work, right? Because I mean we're out. They
Right.
know us. They see us
You
everywhere.
see your ads, right? So,
They see our ads, so they'll reach out. I always have like even on a website, a lot of times we always have hiring ads for salespeople, call center people, installers, even if we're not, because their lead just like a customer is a lead. So if someone reaches out to you at any point in time or you ever see anyone, Like, you need to document them, keep them in a spreadsheet, because you never know when you might need to go down that spreadsheet and try to make contact with people. So,
Right.
I've got a spreadsheet for, I mean, I don't, it's long. And there's people on there like, hey, this guy is a hack. I don't ever use him again. There's plenty of those. Um, but it's just treat them like a lead, essentially. So get on 'em quick. Now, early on, I didn't have the luxury because, like, I had to convince people to come and work for me because they're like, dude, why am I going to leave this big established company to come work for you, who might go out of business, next week, So,
So this is a place
I
I
would
think
chase
about a
people
lot.
down, and I'm not kidding. Like, I specifically remember seeing a box truck on the interstate, and dude, I'm weaving through traffic. I'm just waiting for them to pull over or stop at a store so I can talk to these guys.
So yeah, I think that you're the type of guy that has a vision, and what you're able to do, and guys at home, take note. You have to sell your potential, employees, your
Yeah,
staff on your vision. You have to have a very compelling passion for what you're going to do and how you're going to do it, and they have to buy into that. And Chris obviously is very you could tell
yeah,
he's very passionate about what he's doing. So it's probably not hard for him to convince somebody, and or even in the early days when he had to, he was
yeah.
convincing. And look at him now. So
It,
you got to know who you are and where you're going, and then you got to be able to sell that story again and again and again. And each time that story should get better and stronger and more convincing. But that is the magic, right? I mean, Chris,
we've
you
had
wrap on where
referrals
you're doing and where
too.
you're
Like,
going, right?
we have installers that refer other installers to us, and it's like a lot of companies won't, or installers won't do that because, like, man, I don't want to have this guy come over because then I'm going to run out of work.
Right.
But so I had a long-standing window installer. He's worked for me for a long time, and we always do awards. So I like to recognize people that do really well. So we'd have installer of the year, and he was like a shoe in because he did what he needed to do. He did a great job, and we grade them based on service, like what percentage of their jobs needed service after the sale.
Right.
So that's how we grade installer of the year, is first time completion, essentially. And this guy
Zero,
was always,
zero callbacks.
yeah, this guy was always installer of the year. And I had this installer, man, that I've been trying to, probably for 10 years, I'm not kidding, tried to recruit and get over here from another company. I was like, man, I would call him and he'd blow me off. And one day, Marty, my installer of the year for the last several years, he's like, hey, this guy, he's interested in coming over. I was like, man, I've been trying to get a hold of him for a decade, it seems like, but he's always busy or just didn't want to do it. And he came over, and it's like first year he's installer of the year. So
Wow.
it's like
A surprise.
great
Knew it was
installer.
going to happen, right?
So it's like my guy invited him over, knowing that he was a great installer and he could take work from him. But it's like, man, it's just part of the culture here. A lot of my number 4 hire, 5 hire, was also referred by that installer. So he's referred a lot of people to the company, and that's just a testament to how he likes working for us. He knows it's a great place to work, to where he's going to invite and refer people to come and work here as well. So
God, that's awesome.
Yeah. Inspirational. Chris, what would you say, one or two tips, like things that you find most valuable for the guys at home that are trying to scale? A lot of them are like, around that $500,000 mark, chasing that first million, trying to put things
yeah,
together, trying to get a second truck on the road, that sort of
yeah.
thing. That initial roadblock that most people have a hard time getting around.
So yeah, assuming you're out of the day to day installing, like if you're out there doing all the install work, it's a very difficult cycle to break. Like, you're gonna have to at some point either you get some jobs and not install them for a little bit, so you can build a backlog. So that's a strategy. If you can build a backlog, then you can hire someone else in. But really, you got to charge the right price, because if you don't charge the right price, you can't do anything. You can't market. You can't do advertising. You
It's
don't have
probably
money for
that's probably
advertising if
that's
you
probably one
charge
of
it.
the best ways. Like, if you have so much work that you can't get off the truck, then
You,
you need to charge more. Your
You need
demand is so high.
I say it all the
You're
time. The guys that brag, "Oh, I'm 6 months out." I'm like, "Man, you're giving it away."
that is,
A whole
yeah,
week's
man.
out is
You're
okay.
6 months out, man. Your cost, you're losing money. Like
that's right.
you're losing money.
Right.
But you don't know it. So yeah, I mean, charging the right price. Honestly, it's everything, and it is scary. Sometimes you just gotta take that risk, and it's like, all right, this job, I'm gonna bid it at this price. Um, and maybe you get it, maybe you don't. But if you do get it, then there's extra money for marketing. So whatever they're charging, whatever you're charging, you have to set money aside out of each job for advertising, whatever it is, 5%, 10%, because without advertising, referrals and word of mouth is not advertising. It's a way to get business, but it's so slow that you'll be 90 before you ever do anything with your business, because you cannot grow a business off of referrals and word of mouth. You can be an owner operator off of that, but you cannot grow a business off of that. Um, that's my opinion.
You're at 20 mil a year. How many referrals a week are you getting?
Less than 10% of our total business is referrals.
There you go.
Yeah,
It's at $20 million a year, y'all.
yeah.
20 million. And
So
this guy's
it
everywhere. His customers don't forget about him. They see him on the radio or on the TV. They hear
Yep.
him on the radio. They see him all over Facebook 5 times with 5 different companies. All right. Like,
Some
or
of them
five
hate
different
me.
companies.
I'll get some nasty emails. They're like, "Get off my Facebook, dude. I'm sick and tired of seeing you," or "Get off my
That means you're
TV."
doing a
Like,
good job. That's when you know you're hitting them and touching them enough.
start getting some hate mail.
That's right.
Uh,
Yeah.
but yeah, so that the marketing is everything, man. You just got to figure out a marketing. You got to implement a marketing budget, and you got to stick to it. I see in groups all the time contractors like, marketing doesn't work. Marketing sucks.
It's like
And
nails on a chalkboard when I read that. It's terrible.
what they did the first time might not have worked, but that doesn't mean what happens the second time might not
Right.
work. So, case in point, I tried for probably 6 years on Facebook to make Facebook work. I could not get Facebook to work. Like, I would go through agencies and agencies and agencies. I even tried it myself. I could not get it to work, but I never quit on it. And now it's like, dude, I'll do over $4 million a year just off Facebook ads.
That's crazy.
And it's and like my best lead partner, I specifically remember a month 3, because I always give all lead sources. If I try something out, I'm giving it 3 months. It After 3 months, I'm gonna make a decision if I want to continue or not. So I remember at 3 months, like, I'm going back. I'm like, man, should I cancel it? I don't know if I'm gonna cancel it. I don't know, but I saw a little bit of improvement, and by the 5th month, it's like, dude, 200 grand at a 10% marketing cost, like, just killing it.
Spot on.
And if I would have canceled it earlier, we would have. There's no telling what would have happened. So it's like, you gotta believe in the marketing, try things out. If it doesn't work, try something else.
What's your tip on spend? I know we talked about. Well, I've heard two numbers. You were talking about 5%, maybe 10, 15 minutes ago, and then you mentioned 10. 10 is to me a classically proper percentage on marketing spend. Where do you think they should fall? 5 is like healthy.
On,
Start there and dial it up.
So I'm kind of I used to have a much different view on it than I do now. So sometimes I watch what the big guys do. So I know someone that's doing $180 million in his window business, and he mentioned something. If you want to grow to those heights, you've got to be okay with a higher lead cost, because there's only so many 5 or 10% leads that are out there. That's and that's your low hanging fruit. Maybe Google or face to face events or canvassing or whatever. So you can really limit yourself. So if you have lead sources at a 5% lead source cost or 10% cost, and let's say you're doing $1 million at lead sources that are 10%, and then you can bring on another $1 million at a 20% marketing cost. Well, your marketing cost blended is 15%.
Right.
So you need to make sure you have an extra 15% in your margins to afford marketing.
Back to the
I'm not
numbers, right? You
so
gotta have it in the numbers.
You got to have it in the numbers. So we have a very, very healthy gross margin. I used to be very strict at, if it's over 12% marketing costs, I'm not going to do it. And then, this guy, he put it another way, and I'm like, dude, that makes so much sense. And a lot of times you wonder why the biggest companies are usually the most expensive in a market. They need to be that expensive to afford the marketing costs, but they know that, hey, if I can have a 80% gross margin, a 20% marketing cost, what difference does it make? Because I'm still got 60% left to run, operate, and profit on my business. So ideally, I think a 10 or 15% marketing cost is pretty healthy. It gives you money to grow.
Guys
Uh,
are so petrified by those numbers. Petrified,
yeah,
shaking in their boots at those numbers.
yeah.
Can't
So
even fathom it.
give you an idea. Last year we were 17% marketing costs. So,
Oof.
and that was as high as we've ever been. I've always been around 15, 13 to 15. But as we grow, the 5 and 10% lead sources, there's way more leads I can get with a 20% marketing cost than I can get at a 10% marketing cost. Because there's only so much of those, but there's way more opportunities if you can afford a 20% marketing cost or higher. You just got to have the right pricing. So if you customers should be paying for their own marketing, period.
That's
They should
it.
be paying for their own marketing, their own materials, their own financing fees.
For sure.
They should be paying for all that. So I'm not so concerned with that anymore. We start getting over 20%, then it's like, man, we need to relook at
Well,
things. But
the numbers come into play when when you're starting from nothing, right? So
Right.
yeah,
we're taking the guys that have no revenue, nothing to speak on, and we're saying, okay, now apply the percentage before the
That's right.
revenue comes. And so
yeah.
that is where it gets hairy because it's unproven, it's
It,
not a guarantee, and they're like, "What are you talking about? There's no way
yeah.
in hell I'm going to do it."
Well, so yeah. So once again, starting a business is risky. So you got to take risks. I mean, there's never a time where something's not going to be a risk. So you just got to take a risk and believe in yourself. Try to put as good plan together as possible. But there are some lead sources that are not very risky. Like we have some that are on rev share to where they're doing what they're doing, spend their own money, and we pay them a percentage of the sale.
Right.
That's zero risk for
Sure.
us as a company.
Guaranteed sale, right? You're not paying
Yeah, and we
less
have
than 20%.
and we have probably 6 or 7 of them that are doing that. Like there's a lot that do that. Newspapers, you can get into newspapers now a lot of times with rev share. Um, I'm in some other print that's rev share. We have several digital
So is
partners that are rev share.
it's just Scout's honor. You have to just divulge. It's you do
Uh,
clearing.
yeah, they
How do
they
they,
need to probably a little bit more in Scouts on it. Like I said, if you don't have good systems in your business, they might not feel good
Yeah,
about
they
doing it
won't
with you.
do it.
So we
Right.
have
they want to peek at financials somehow.
they want to see what kind of CRMs, what kind of everything.
Yeah,
So
your different marketing phone numbers and all
yeah,
that, like that, you got to be
exactly.
able to attribute it. So,
Yeah, so you
um,
need to have good attribution.
right. I think
But yeah,
that's a
all
big.
for,
I'm
go ahead.
sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I think that's a big part of it. I think that's why it scares so many people because they don't have the systems in place
Yeah,
to scale with marketing. So if they go and start spending 10, 15, 20% on marketing, they're like, dude, I already can't keep
Yeah.
up.
Now what? What do I do now? How am
Yeah,
I?
yeah,
what the heck now? Right?
yeah.
So why would I do that?
Yeah, and
Um,
like I said, I was I mean, for the first couple of years, I didn't keep an eye on marketing. I just knew that when I spent money, more revenue was coming, and it worked like that. Like man, I knew what I was going to do that year because all right, if I add another $10,000 in marketing, it's going to generate me another 100 or 75 or whatever K a month, and it worked
right.
like that, like clockwork, forever. Like I said, it has been more challenging the last 2 years to get new lead sources. So we track everything. We do track cost per lead. We track cost per demo, cost per sale, our marketing percentage. We track how many finance declines we get per lead source. I mean, we got so much tracking to where we don't know anything about any lead source that we do. So,
Yeah.
but
What
it didn't
CRM are
always
y'all
start.
using? Are you on Service Titan?
No, it's called Lead Perfection.
Huh.
Interesting.
Okay.
Yeah, it's I mean, I went through 3 different CRMs, and that one worked for us, so
Right.
we stuck with it. So it
Yep.
works pretty well. So
We have
yeah,
another question here, Chris. What's your service area radius?
we do an hour and a half roughly drive time from our office.
Okay.
So our whatever physical office, we do an hour and a half. Like now, we have expanded that slightly since we went into a different market. Um, but I had an installer, so we hired sales reps in those 2 additional markets, and I had an installer that was willing to make that extra drive. So we did expand them in those extra markets, but historically, an hour and a half around our physical office.
Everybody starts at the shop every day to load up, or they dispatch.
Install crews start at the shop every day. Yes.
Okay.
Salespeople, no, we don't make them come to the office if
Right.
they can go straight to their lead.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
What about vehicle wraps and how you guys look on the road? What do you do with that?
Yeah, we do have wraps now. As one honestly, as one of the last things I adopted because I think wraps are kind of like, and maybe I look at this wrong, but um, when I go to my CRM, I don't really see much revenue from the tracking number on the wraps. You know what I mean?
It's hard to
So I just
kind of that.
for the longest time I would not spend a dollar if it wasn't going to generate revenue. Like everything went to marketing, and I feel like there's a lot better places to spend $2,000 than a vehicle wrap. It's kind of like a yard sign.
Yeah, I think they're harder to track. The number's the number. I mean, you'd have a
Yeah,
unique number, but I think people don't capture the number on a vehicle more than they capture the brand, right? The
yeah,
name, the likeness, the logo. To me, it's more psychological. They see the logo again later when they're searching on Google, and then
yeah.
it's clicks, and they're like, okay, I'm going to call them. And then
Well,
when you track them that way, it's attributed to the website or
yeah,
something. But
Right.
they did see the logo, and they it was in a parking lot or
yeah.
whatever. I
I,
do think there's value there. We get a lot of feedback about vehicles, but I totally respect your gangster on tracking dollar
well,
for dollar.
I think that there's two facets to marketing. You have direct response marketing and you have branding. I feel like most companies they don't have enough money to do branding, in my opinion. Because if I have $5,000, that branding might generate it could generate nothing. But if I spend that $5,000 on a direct response type of advertising, I know it's going to generate leads and it's going to get the phone ring at a very good rate. So I always focused on direct response marketing. Even like so, TV could theoretically be branding. A lot of people categorize it as branding, but the way our ads are very direct response like.
Yeah.
So I'm just a big believer in direct response marketing. Even at the size we are, like we do branding, but like I said, we do have our vehicle wrap. So I'm not saying don't do it,
Right.
but if you're short on cash, if you're a smaller company, I personally think you're going to get a much better return on Google ads or Facebook ads for that $2,500,
Me too with
$3,000.
the wraps is I like them parked in somebody's driveway all day while the guys are working. And the
Yeah,
neighborhood gets to see it. The lady walking the dog gets to see it. Everybody wants to keep up with the Joneses. Oh, I need that too. I think it does go a long way when it's being seen in a neighborhood.
yeah.
And it's no surprise when you get a call a week later from 2 houses down or they walk over and they're asking for
Or you can get the calls or the video of the idiot technician that ran them off the road.
I've
Yeah.
had those calls too.
I
I
I
might have
tell you,
seen
when I
once.
first started, I didn't have anybody. It was just me. Like my office number got rerouted to my cell phone, and somebody wouldn't let me merge. So I'm like, dude, I'm in this big truck. I was like, I'm getting where I need to go. And he calls and he's like, I need to file a complaint on one of your drivers.
Yeah,
And
it
it's
was
me
me.
answering it.
That's
Bye.
funny. Yep.
Oh boy.
Oh, but yeah. So I mean, I'll just add a tidbit to the direct response versus branding. I'm a big believer in direct response marketing. So with TV, we try to follow a certain formula for TV ads. So we want to do 4 things. And I didn't. Once again, these are one of those things where I did not come up with it. Uh, I don't know if you mentioned it. I don't know if it was before we got on or after, but you mentioned Hanson. So the owner of Hanson's, uh, before they sold, Brian Elias, met him a few times, and he said something about how to run TV commercials, and way more than me. So it's like, dude, if he says it, I'm gonna do it, and that's what I've always done. So, four things we want in every TV commercial: we want to interrupt what the viewer is doing. So, the first few seconds are vital. So we want to interrupt, we want to engage them, we want to educate them, and we want to have an offer. So I'm a big believer in those things in marketing. So you want to interrupt, get them stopping. Same thing with Facebook ads; they're scrolling, so you got to stop the scroll.
Yeah.
And then you got to engage them with something that might be one of their pain points, or um, one of the reasons why they might call someone for new gutters or roofing or whatever. And then you want to educate them on why you're the best option, and then you put out an offer that they can't refuse. And that's the way we do all of our ads.
What kind of offers do you run on your TV ads or radio?
We try to rotate them, so we want to keep them fresh. We'll test different creatives. Right now on the windows, we're doing buy 3 windows, you get 3 free, and no interest financing. I also have a bath business, and on my bath business, we advertising 60% off installation plus a free shower door.
Wow,
So,
that does get somebody to say, "What's this about?" Right? I mean, that's definitely sounds great. I mean, obviously, it's built into the price that you have to.
Yeah, I mean, the way
For
to me, marketing is all about getting an opportunity. So we want an opportunity in the door with one of our reps, and from there, their job is to wow them, show them why we're a logical solution to their problems, and present an offer that is too good to pass up.
Yeah. Tell me about your sales demo on the window side. You guys got like the heat lamp, so they can the whole gimmick, right?
Yep. Yep. I don't know if I'd say gimmick, but
sorry. Yeah. I get you. I'm sorry.
Demonstrating.
That's all right.
Technology.
So yeah, I mean, the heat lamp just wows people. So if you're not doing the heat lamp, then really missing out.
Solar heat gain, all of that.
Yeah. So I'm a big data guy. So we really try to take a data approach when we're talking about our products to customers. But we have a certain process that we want the sales reps to follow in the house. The first one is, I mean, we got it dialed in. So we want them. Step number one is called the entry. So that's what we do. This is how you enter the house, and these are things you should be doing as soon as you get there. Essentially.
Cool.
Step 2, the warm up and survey. Warm up is just trying to build some rapport with the customers to get to know them on a little deeper personal level. And then we have a survey that needs to be very conversational, but we do have a form for it. And this is where we're going to cover a lot with the project and the homeowner that really helps us get the deal later on. So the survey is super, super important.
Pain points. Trying to find pain points and flush out where they're
exactly.
The client discovery, figuring out exactly how you're going to sell them later on. Yep.
Exactly. And then we do the measure and inspection, which doing a proper inspection is, that's. Well, I always tell my salespeople, whenever I'm talking about step, I always say this is the most important one. So all 10 steps are the most important one, but the inspection is the most important one. Aside from step,
it's how you create urgency. That's it.
Exactly.
Do you guys go back to measure again, or it has to be done with the salesman?
We send out a measure tech afterwards to just make sure that the customer's expectations are exactly what we're going to deliver. And to make sure that the project's going to go well the day on the install.
Right. Go back to inspection. Inspection.
Measure inspection, and then we go back and we do a company story, and then we do what's called we call it on the window side, we call it window shopping. So we take the customer window shopping. So window shopping is tell them about what else is out there in the industry. Try to figure out if they're wanting wood windows, fiberglass, vinyl windows. And then we're going to take them through the parts and pieces and let them build the product themselves on how they want it. We structure the questions in a way to where we know how they're going to build it. We guide them on how to build it. And then once we build it, we kill all of our competition once we build it, because at the end we're the only logical solution. And then we'll show them an actual full window sample. So this is the window they built, Mrs. Jones. Let me show you the exact window that's going to fit all those things. And that's a product presentation, and then we'll do a price presentation, and then there's some extra steps. Depends on what all we got to do to earn their business that night. So that's the sales process. It's 10
Very nice.
steps. We're doing a full demo. We expect the sales reps to know it when they come out of training, because we know what customers are going to say. We know exactly what they're going to say because they're all the same. They're going to say the same 10 things every single time. Every now and then you'll get something crazy that you've never heard, but for the most part, it's the same. It's like you're going to a play that you've already watched 40 times.
Again and
Right.
again. Yeah.
It's the same thing.
So what is your training process like? Is it 2-3 weeks classroom setting?
Classroom setting, 2 weeks. The third week, sales reps, depends on how, some of them are hot. We know that they're going to kill it. They might start running leads on their own the third week, or it could be ride-alongs with another rep or with the sales manager. By the fourth week, they should be on their own. So
right, nice.
Yeah. And we offer a base for the first 4 weeks, so just small little couple $100 for the first 4 weeks to get them through training, and just get them through their first appointment, so they're not.
When you say a couple hundred, do you mean literally like 200-300?
500.
Okay, all right.
Is it sell or die after that? Commission only?
Oh yeah, I'm a strong believer in commission only. I've experimented with bringing people in with a base plus a reduced commission. They just never perform like the straight commission guys or girls.
They say psychologically people know what they need to pay the bills and to keep the household running, and they work to that level. A lot of people don't have the drive to work beyond that. They meet the needs they have at home, and that's it. And then it's go home time. They just don't want to push beyond that.
Yeah, so we want people we want people to have the right mentality. In-home sales is not for the faint of heart.
Do you think that people with a wife and children at home are going to hustle harder for you, or like what is the sweet?
We have a very, very diverse group, like very diverse. We got some young guys that are in early, barely can drink alcohol. They're doing well for us. We got some older guys. We got one of my best sales reps I've ever had. Had 4 young kids at home, married, 4 young kids at home.
Wow.
But we're on the train right now. Train of thought that some of our best reps right now are females. Like we have several females that are just like crushing it for us.
Immediate trust, man.
Yeah,
I have the same experience.
So yeah, they do. They're doing really well. So the females are well.
How do you keep your females? The biggest obstacle I've had with females is their fear of pushing, right? Of overcoming the objections.
I honestly think that I don't know. I think it's just part of the process. So if they know the steps and you require them to follow the process, it shouldn't feel like pushing. Now, if you're a very aggressive male that played college football, when you're in front of a homeowner, it's very easy to come off as pushy because they're this big dominant figure, right?
Right.
Whereas if you're a 5'2" girl, the same thing that they say, the same actions, it doesn't feel pushing because they're this smaller, less intimidating figure sitting across the table.
Right.
So I don't really think
with women is if they know their stuff, if they were like relatively knowledgeable on the product, it's very unassuming, right? The homeowner's like, whoa, they're like knocked off their feet, and that level of impressiveness sometimes is like, you know, what knocks
Yeah.
them out and says, I'm in. Like, I'm impressed. The product's great, and you know, I did not expect you to come in here and do what you did. I will say I give girls a lot of credit because they generally get challenged a lot harder. There's a lot of knuckleheads out there that just
Right.
for
Yeah.
sport want to give them a hard time and razz them and, you know, test them and oh, you don't know what you're talking.
Yeah.
My dad was a contractor. I'm going to rattle you. And a girl that can
Yeah.
hold her own and talk shop, it goes a long way.
Yeah, I mean, we do see some of that, you know, because we have the sales reps, you know, after every appointment, they have to result the appointment. So I see every single result, good or bad, as it comes through. And I look at like 90% of them. And we do see that, like where the sales rep, their feedback was this guy wasn't going to listen to a word I said because, you know, I'm a woman, blah, 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 blah. So there is that out there. But at the same time, you know, a lot of times the women of the house makes the decisions for the house. I know it is the way with my house. Like if we need something done at my house, my wife's gonna, dude. I don't pay any bills at my house. I don't not handle the household. She does. If she wants to do this, she's going to do it. And that's the way a lot of households are, where the women make the decisions for the household. And I mean, that's kind of a, you know,
You're absolutely right. So if they're working
traditional
with a woman
mindset,
as a
I guess you would
consultant,
say, but that's
they
just
bond.
that's the way it is, you know? So, and a lot of our marketing tries to target women for that reason. So,
Smart.
It's brilliant.
Something to think about at home, gutter guys. You know, with your advertising, are you focusing on the women? You know, that might be a smart move. If they're the ones.
you get the women excited about it, and it's going to turn to a sale. So,
Actually, that's
Yeah.
a good study, right? If you're out there hustling, small or big, take note on who you're meeting with, because a lot of time you can't get a two-leg sit, right? You're going to get a one-legger. It's the wife, right? Just on a notepad in your vehicle, jot down male or female, count it up at the end of the week, do it again the next week, and look at that tally. And whichever way it leans heavier, is your marketing geared towards that? I mean, that's a great point, Chris.
Right.
yeah.
It's so
Yeah,
important.
the marketing message, I mean, it can make or break you, really. So you just need a good marketing message, try to go to the right audience. So you should define your target audience before you really do any kind of marketing. You know, what's their age look like? Like, what's your ideal customer? What's their age, their home value, you know, neighborhood, zip codes. Is it a male? Is it a female? Like
Yeah.
if you ever buy TV, like if anyone ever starts doing TV, you'll want to know if you know you want to advertise in sports. Sounds like a good idea, except the guys sitting there drinking beer with the buddies.
Not
He
thinking
ain't
about
working.
windows.
You know, so you want to try to go after females first. That's my take on it. That's what we do. Um, and I mean, it's worked okay. So
That's right.
Love this.
That's awesome.
Chris,
So
you've been amazing.
one thing I'm going to do is start going and stalking all 5 of his Facebook pages.
Yeah,
Yep.
see 'em
And
all.
do that and copy that, target the women, do the thing, right?
I
But
think
also, Chris,
from this one with some pointers here, right? I learned a lot today, Colin.
right, I did too. I talked to Chris, I don't know, probably 8 months ago and said, "Hey, I'm thinking about doing windows. Can I come down, do a shop tour, learn this thing?" And here I am. I haven't gone down there yet. So
Yeah.
I got to get a hold of you to do that. I am going down to Virginia
Okay.
here in the next couple months. So I'll be passing through. So I'll plan a day or two to
Yeah.
stop and chill.
We'll be in our new facility at that point too. So it should be
Let's go.
it's gonna be pretty sharp. So
Right. Right
Well,
on.
Chris, you want to come back and see us sometime? What do you think? Did we bore
yeah,
you
man.
enough today? I mean,
No, you know, I love talking about business. You know, business is my passion. I just love it. I love, you know, I'm weird like that. Like I'm always looking at, dude, I'll get on buy, biz, sell and look at business for sale. I have no intention of ever owning a daycare, but I'll request the financials of it.
yeah,
So
yeah. Well,
I'll request the financials of it.
you're a gentleman. You were an open book tonight, and we do appreciate that. I mean, you dropped
Big
a
time.
lot of knowledge on everybody, so
That's right. Big
we
time.
appreciate that.
Yeah.
Mentors like you are highly valuable.
Big time.
All right, Kyle, what do you say?
I say my internet is ready to go to bed. It crapped out on me. So, Chris, thanks again. Frank, awesome time, man.
Man,
Gutter World. We'll see y'all next time.
adios. Thank you, Chris.